Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. And yes, I know I've used this title before. It's an older title, sir, but it still checks out. By the time we come to the end of this battle, however, I think you'll agree that the title is entirely appropriate. So, what do we have for you today? It's a Tier 10 battle, domination mode here on the Atlantic map. And highly unusual for this server, for this is none other than the Asia server. This is Bane here in the USS Des Moines. Bane hails from Australia. G'day, Bane. I keep promising to never do that again, don't I? Don't worry, Australia. I promise to never do that again. You know I'm lying, right? Anyway, Bane here on the Asia server, and highly unusually for this server, no carriers and no submarines, as somebody just pointed out in chat right at the start of the battle. So there's an excellent chance everybody might actually be allowed to have some fun. Oh, in fact, there it is in chat now, and it's Bane himself. There are a couple of super ships, however, but there's only one on each team. Bane's team have the Soviet Novosibirsk, or however the hell you pronounce that, and the enemy team have the French Condor. You're probably wondering why there aren't 12 players per team, and it's only a 9 versus 9, because it's the Asia server. That's just how things roll around here. You sometimes see this on the North American server as well, when there are limited player numbers, and depending on the time of day that you're playing, sometimes the matchmaker just struggles to put 2 full teams together. Anyway, so the USS Des Moines. There's not really a lot to say about this ship that hasn't already been said. It's been around since pretty much day one. US Navy heavy cruiser armed with 9 203mm or 8-inch guns. What makes this thing special is that these guns are autoloaders. So it's got a terrifying rate of fire, something like 5 seconds, unmodded. With various different skills and buffs activated. For example, if you've taken the Adrenaline Rush skill and you let your health get low enough, I've seen these things spitting out 8-inch death and destruction every 3.5 seconds. There is, of course, a super ship version of this, because of course there is. I mean, if these guns firing every 3.5 seconds wasn't scary enough, there's a super ship version of the Des Moines, the USS Annapolis, which is basically exactly the same as the Des Moines, except it's a bit longer in order to accommodate another 8-inch gun turret, 3 more guns. And if that wasn't scary enough, it comes with a burst fire mode, where if you so choose, instead of spitting out a salvo every 5 seconds, or as low as 3.5 seconds if you've got various different skills and buffs active, you trigger the burst fire on the Annapolis, and you only have a 1-second reload. Although it's only good for 3 salvos, and it does put your guns on a very long, I think 40-second cooldown afterwards, so it's an overall DPS nerf, but the burst damage potential is insane. All of that's on the Annapolis, though, which is like the Tier 11, effectively, version of the Des Moines. And it's not like the Des Moines really needs any buffs. I mean, this is one of the few ships in the game that has basically survived without any major changes since its introduction. And it's the original US Navy Tier 10 heavy cruiser. The Des Moines all right. Look at this rate of fire. Oh, 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 Kremlin. Switch to AP. He's switched to the AP. Oh, this is going to hurt. Let's see what his opening salvo does. Hello there, Mr. Kremlin. Giving a nice big, fat, juicy broadside to a Des Moines with super heavy armor piercing loaded at what is effectively point-blank range. Yes, you slow down and stop there. Let's give Bane maximum opportunity to inflict the largest possible amount of damage. What could possibly go wrong with that plan? Oh, he's trying to reverse. Battleships don't stop and reverse very quickly, so Bane's going to get... I mean, he's spotted now, of course. He poked the back end out just a little bit too far and the Kremlin saw him, but that's fine. He should be able to get at least one more salvo off, squeezed between the sort of saddle between those 2 prominences. Yeah, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. All done with 0 risk to himself. Let's stop and have a quick chat about the destroyers on the team, because that's going to be important. In particular, the Marceau down at this end of the map, that he's helping out by triggering his radar and illuminating the enemy Osterjotland over there, who is the one who has managed to flip the cap at Alpha that they're currently contesting here. Now, the Marceau is a good destroyer, but it's not the kind of ship you want to be charging into cap circles with at the start of the game. Oh, hang on a second. Keep an eye on that Jean Bart, because Bane certainly is. Notice, however, which way the Jean Bart's going. He's heading away. All of the Jean Bart's guns are in the front. Well, all of its main battery guns are in the front. Its arse is covered in mostly ineffective secondaries. So if he plays his cards right, there may be an opportunity here for Bane to clap that Jean Bart's cheeks. He's just going to have to watch out for the presence of, for example, the Ostjotland on the other side of this island. But yes, back to the Marceau, who is now nosing into the cap circle. You see, the Marceau is extremely fast and has a lot of guns, but it is not stealthy and it doesn't get a smoke screen. Yep, sure enough, Jean Bart is facing the other way, so all he has to worry about here is the Jean Bart's not particularly good secondaries. Note on the minimap, the Marceau is now contesting the cap circle, now that it is safe to do so, because there is no way a Marceau was going to win a cap battle against something like an Ostjotland, which will easily outspot him. So, well played to the Marceau. Meanwhile, the spanking over here continues. I mean, you can see the fire coming in from the Jean Bart secondaries. You can see the amount of damage that Bane is not taking. French 100mm secondaries, they're just hopelessly bad. As bad as Italian 90mm secondaries. I mean, the Jean Bart has some 152mm secondaries, but they are hopelessly inaccurate. The only thing these secondaries are good for is setting fires. Right, the Jean Bart. And of course, Bane is constantly paying attention to the location of the Ostjotland over there, as the Ostjotland is very, very carefully paying attention to Bane as well, because there isn't a destroyer in this game who wants to get involved in a gunfight with the Moines. You can see him lurking there, just waiting for the opportunity to pop out and try to get some torpedoes away. But there really isn't a good time for the Ostjotland to do it. I mean, you might think we'll do it now while he's busy with the Jean Bart, but look at the rate of fire. It doesn't take him long to switch targets and delete a destroyer if he wants to, and the position that he's in, because he ain't coming out any further than he needs to. He's in the cap circle. The Jean Bart has basically been unable to shoot at him, and if he wants to, and he's doing it now that the Ostjotland's gone undetected, although not undetected for long, there's the radar. All he has to do to avoid any torpedoes is just reverse. And it looks like the Ostjotland, oh, he's picked a bad time. He's picked a very bad time. Oh, he's trying to use the guns. The problem, of course, is that spit of land is in the way. Right. He's going for it. One more salvo at the Jean Bart. He's set a fire. Now, he's assuming that the fire is going to kill the Jean Bart, and he does make a bit of a miscalculation here. But again, careful to keep the land there between himself and any torpedoes. He comes out just far enough in order to actually be able to start shooting at this very unfortunate destroyer, who has made a serious miscalculation. The fire, however, did not finish off the Jean Bart. The Jean Bart started to recover some health and is now in a position where he can swing the main battery guns around. And oh shit, here comes a Kremlin. Right. He's probably wishing he had taken the time to ensure that the Jean Bart went down now, because now he's got a Kremlin and a Jean Bart shooting at him. He's got the opportunity to do colossal amounts of damage to the Kremlin, however. And yeah, that was a huge salvo going for the bow section where the armour is the thinnest. The problem here, of course, is that it's not going to take long before that bow section becomes damage saturated and he starts doing, well, not large amounts of damage to it. But he's got the Jean Bart, but he's not going to survive this encounter with the Kremlin. Yeah, he's basically doing 0 damage now to the bow section, and the Kremlin takes him out. Well, that was quick, Jingles. Well, it was. He did all right, but this video isn't really about Bane. Oh, there's the Novosibirsk, or however the hell you pronounce it. Even though we went down, Bane was able to do so much damage to the Kremlin that the Novosibirsk is easily able to finish it off. But yes, our hero, dead already. What's going on here? Well, today's video isn't really so much about Bane as it is about a certain other member of his team. And it's not the Novosibirsk over here either. Do you recall earlier I took great pains to point out the positioning and tactics of the friendly Marceau? For today's video is about none other than he. At the moment, Bane's team are enjoying a fairly healthy advantage. They have a kill lead, they're a couple of 100 points ahead. And while both teams only directly control one cap circle, Bane and now the Novosibirsk are contesting the central cap here at Bravo. It's here, however, where things start to go just a little bit pear-shaped, starting with the destruction of the team's Iwami at the hands of the enemy Condor, their own Tier 11 supership, followed up by the destruction of the Novosibirsk, Bane's team's Tier 11 supership. And suddenly, that lead isn't looking quite so big. In fact, they're now 1 kill and 1 cap circle behind. And the points lead has narrowed to just 50 points. The Venezia over here, stuck on the map border, although desperately trying to swing the ship around so he can bring all of his gun turrets to bear on the enemy Condor, looks like, once he does get the ship turned and the guns turned, to be in a pretty good position to take that Condor out. However, what is not immediately apparent is that the Condor is the least of the Venezia's problems. You see, when you're stuck on the map border like that, your engine power starts getting reduced, making the ship more and more sluggish. Or to put it another way, making you an easier and easier target for torpedoes. And he hasn't been spotted, but the enemy Halland is over there. And the Halland's torpedoes are anything but slow. Oh, the Halland has just popped up, and he's on full health, but his torpedoes are already on the way, and the Venezia is still struggling on the border. Meanwhile, the Marceau, assisting the Laurier here in his battle against the enemy Ohio, takes the kill, buys the team a brief, well, it's not really an advantage. I mean, they've managed to equalise the kills, they're still behind on caps, although there is now no longer anything preventing them from taking this central cap. But the Venezia over there is really struggling against the Condor. He should have killed him by now, but instead he's lost 25,000 health, doing 5,000 damage to the French supership, and the Halland's torpedoes finally settle the question of who exactly is going to win that fight. Top tip, it wasn't the Venezia. That just leaves the Marceau and the Italian Tier 10 battlecruiser here, the Ruggiero de Luria, or however the hell you pronounce that, against the Hindenburg, the Condor, and the Halland. And remember, the Halland's on full health. Now, the thing you need to know about this thing is that it is armed with 8 457mm guns. That's a seriously large caliber, and you can see that the semi-armor piercing shells fired by this thing take absolutely no prisoners when it comes to dealing damage to cruisers like the Hindenburg over there, who's probably wondering just exactly what the hell happened. However, let's not forget that the Hindenburg has extremely dangerous torpedoes, so it might be a good idea to vary your course and speed. Yep, there they are. Well played. Here's the Marceau. So the Marceau, remember, extremely fast, but it doesn't have a smoke screen and it's not particularly stealthy. He's going wide around the island, presumably in order to try to respot that Hindenburg so they can finish him off, equalise the kills, finish flipping this central cap, and then turn their attention to the other 2 surviving enemy ships, the Halland and the Condor, who is probably recovering some health if he hadn't already. There's the Hindenburg, respotted by the Marceau. And the Marceau, it's a very brave move from the Marceau. I mean, the Hindenburg's on low health, and they really, really do need to kill him fast, but, you know, the Hindenburg can fairly easily deal with a destroyer if it has to, if you give it the opportunity. And the Laurier here is not in a position to help the Marceau out. That's when he starts taking fire from the Condor. Now, in retrospect, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, because I've seen how this battle ends, it was probably a better idea for the Laurier here to turn right and follow the Hindenburg into cover behind the other island, rather than turning left. And you can appreciate why this Italian battlecruiser is doing this. It wants to get into cover. It wants to get the island in front of it, because it's on fire and it's losing health. And it wants to get that solid cover between himself and the Halland and the Condor. And yeah, I mean, he was being spotted by the Halland all the time he was doing this anyway, so he probably wouldn't have survived the turn and the run down to where the Hindenburg is currently trying to do the same thing against the Marceau. And hopefully is going to lose. So there were no real good choices there for the Laurier to make. He probably wouldn't have survived trying to sail all the way down there and get out of line of sight. But the Marceau's gotten the Hindenburg. Unfortunately, the Marceau is about to become the last surviving member of his team. The Laurier has done a large amount of damage with a semi-armor piercing to the Halland. It's no longer on full health, but the Halland's torpedoes at that kind of range were never going to miss. This now leaves the Marceau with a 1 cap advantage, but a very slim points advantage that he's never going to be able to realistically hold on to as long as that Halland is alive. So in order to guarantee this win, he really does need to find and kill the Halland, which will be a problem because he's got a speed advantage over the Halland, but he does not have a spotting advantage. The Halland is always going to spot him first, and then he's going to get shot at not just by the Halland but also the Condor, but he really needs that Halland dead. Otherwise the Halland's just going to undo the cap advantage that he currently enjoys. So this is risky, but he really does kind of need to do it. Once the Halland's dead though, assuming he wins the fight, which is by no means guaranteed, assuming he manages to kill the Halland and doesn't get nuked by the Condor, who's trying to bait him into using his AA guns to shoot down his depth charge attack planes and reveal his position. But once he does kill the Halland, fingers crossed, that will give him an unbeatable points advantage, and there's no way the Condor should be able to catch him. Halland outspots him, Condor fires its first salvo and misses. Now he's locked into a gunfight with the Halland that he must win. Things do get a bit dicey here as he's had his engines knocked out and his speed is his one big defence, but he does manage to take out the Halland. He now has an unassailable points lead. There is no way the Condor is going to catch him. He's used the damage control to repair the engines. Now he just has to motor on out of there. He's got the points lead. There's hardly any time left in the battle. The Condor is never going to be able to flip the caps back fast enough, and now the only way the Condor can win is by killing the Marceau. And he can only kill the Marceau if the Marceau does something incredibly stupid, like revealing his position by deliberately choosing to get into a gunfight with a Tier 11 supercruiser. Marceau, seriously, dude, what the hell are you doing? You've won. Take the win. Oh my god. I mean, he probably thinks I can take the Condor, and maybe he can, but he doesn't need to. And the Condor can take him. And very nearly just did. If he can take the Condor out before he reloads the guns. But that's the question. Can he take the Condor out before he reloads the guns? I mean, he's given it the good old college try, and he has very, very nearly done it, but then suddenly all of these shots start shattering. And the Condor's reloading. The Condor has reloaded. The Condor has shots out. They are in the air. And they find the target. The Marceau is dead. The Condor is the last ship alive. The Marceau has absolutely, definitely, no shit Sherlock, 100% thrown this match. Wait. What? What the hell just happened? How did the Condor lose? I don't... Wargaming, would you care to explain what we just saw happening there? You could see what the Marceau was doing. He wanted his Kraken unleashed and he didn't care if he threw the match. And he did throw the match. And then somehow didn't. I guess the two ships died so close together that the game got confused and thought, oh well, everybody's dead. Who has the most points? And that was the Marceau. Totally didn't deserve it. Absolutely should have lost. In fact, technically did lose, and yet somehow didn't. I'm sure Bane isn't complaining, of course, because, 2,000 base XP and a win. But should that have been a win? I'm not convinced. I don't think I can honestly say the better team won because it was extremely close. But I guess it is what it is. And I can't wait to see what you all have to say about that one in the comments. So Bane, thank you very much for sending that one in. That was very unusual. But that's it. And I guess now it's over to you. I can't wait to read the comments on this one. You all know what to do. So yeah, well done, Bane, I suppose. And I hope you all enjoyed it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.